I talk to a lot of women who are frustrated or who are seeking clarity as to why they're not finding success when it comes to dating and relationships. And in many of these cases, if not almost all of them, many of them, not all of them, but they'll present the situation in a way that says, yo, I'm doing all the right things. Or, Stephan, I've watched your videos and I'm healed and I've done the inner work and I've made these changes, all these things, but nothing's going right. And I don't want to ever dismiss the efforts that someone is putting in to make things better and to get better results. But what I find is that when we dig deeper, there are certain things they continue to overlook. There are certain habits that women engage in for various reasons that she may not understand is causing more of a problem than she thinks it is. It's actually pushing men away and sabotaging potential relationships. Now, again, various reasons could be she's getting bad advice from the wrong people or just bad advice in general. She is still holding on to a deeper fear. So the healing process isn't complete. And let me say, some people think, well, you're never fully healed. I disagree. I think you can fully heal. I think we will never have a life that new things won't come about that may possibly hurt us. But once you've truly healed from your past, things don't hurt you the same like it used to. You're not triggered the same. It's a very different experience going forward, but there will still be things that come against you, But you can come to a place of full healing. But we'll leave that for a different video. The point is there's something there. And so I want to highlight some of the common habits that a woman may overlook that's actually working more against her rather than for her. And so the first unattractive habit that men get turned off by is women playing hard to get. Now, if you've watched my other videos, then you've heard how I feel about this. But of course, let me break it all down for you. I know a lot of people tell women, hey, you're the prize. He needs to chase you. Don't do too much. Or flat out, you need to play hard to get, all these different things. And I understand why they are telling you this, but they're not explaining how this is actually causing more problems. The reality is that playing hard to get may work with the wrong guy. Now, when I say wrong guy, I don't necessarily mean a guy who's trying to be abusive, manipulate you, or anything like that. He could be a genuinely good guy and still be the wrong guy. And it will work in that situation. And let's just use the example of good guy, just the wrong guy for you, not the right fit. So you playing hard to get, yes, he may become so infatuated with you that your resistance and you making him jump through extra hoops isn't going to deter him because he is fixated on that infatuation. He is obsessed with just getting you, right? But that's not real love. That's not true love. So what you're actually going to end up with isn't going to be something that you're going to be happy with. And trust, I've talked to plenty of women who did that, played the hard to get, got the man, even got married, and then they saw the tables were turned on them. As one example of what goes wrong, meaning he chases to get you, finally gets you, finally marries you, and in his mind it's like, okay, well, it's my turn now. It's my turn to reap the benefits. It's my turn to see a return on this investment that I've made. I've put in all this effort, all this extra effort. I need some reciprocity now. And he may have ignored that for a long time. It got lopsided. And so that's another issue that happens is where as a woman, you may become so comfortable in the fact that he's the one overly, let's just use the word chasing. He's the one chasing you and that feels comfortable and it feels good. And it may even feel safe, right? But it's covering the fact that you're not really into him like that. And you're only moving forward with him because your mindset is, well, he loves me more than I love him, so this must be a good, safe situation. And I have a video on that and why that's a horrible approach, all right? but it's masking the fact that you're not really into him like that. So again, the right foundation is not being set. So aside from what you're setting yourself up for, playing hard to get is a deterrent to a man who actually likes you. And when I say actually likes you, because again, the good guy may like you, but it's built more on infatuation. With a guy who likes you in the sense of there's something deeper going on here. There's connection here. That he may even feel like after a few weeks of you guys talking, he's falling for you. You playing hard to get will only start to it can potentially scare him. It can potentially make him think, well, maybe she's not that interested in me. It could hurt him because when someone is pursuing someone that they love, they are much more vulnerable. And to see you show so much resistance can create a feeling of rejection. And that then makes him pull back. And so now you're thinking, oh, he's pulling back because he's not serious. But no, he's pulling back because you've been holding back so much. And it's made him think that you're not really into him. All right. So there's a lot that can go wrong with the playing hard to get. You don't really get to see what you're signing up for if you don't put yourself out there correctly. Now, when I say put yourself out there correctly, what I mean is that in playing hard to get for a lot of women, what they're essentially doing is not being their true self. Okay. And in not being your true self, you cannot see if you truly align with this man. So I'll give you one example. Let's say in this playing hard to get, you don't really reach out and call him that much because you don't want to seem thirsty or whatever the case, desperate, all these things. But the reality is that you're someone that loves constant communication. You in a relationship would naturally reach out every single day. So let's just say things move forward with you not reaching out much. All right. So one, he doesn't know what kind of woman you really are when it comes to communication. Two, let's just say he actually likes this limited effort in communication you have because maybe it alleviates him of a certain kind of pressure for the guy who's not really serious about you. He feels like, oh, okay, this is easy. Like she doesn't call me. I can hit her up when I want to, even though some of you may say, well, I would still be expecting him to hit me up every day. But I've seen these things happen. Either way, you guys move forward. And then once you guys get in a relationship, your true self comes up. Now you're hitting him up all the time. Now you want constant communication. And to him, it's like, I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I wanted. And so now we start to see cracks in the relationship. We start to see things go downhill. But they're going downhill because now that we've revealed our true selves, we're seeing we're not actually in alignment with each other. We don't actually fit. So when you're playing hard to get, you got to ask yourself, am I really being me right now? Because if I'm not, that's a problem. I'd rather you be your true self, and that way you can see what you're really dealing with here. All right, so that brings me to the second unattractive habit that men get turned off by. And that's being very entitled and acting like a spoiled brat. So I'm going to hope that most of you are not acting like spoiled brats, right? But let's focus on the entitlement part, and I'll touch a little bit on the spoiled brat part. So with being entitled, let's start with the whole I'm a prize, I'm the prize. So if you haven't heard it from me before, let me make clear. I don't like the idea of women or men telling themselves, I am the prize, we're the prize. No, you're both prizes. You're both blessings to the right person in the right relationship. When we get fixated on, I am the prize, then we tend to become more entitled. We tend to become more selfish. We tend to devalue and dismiss the blessing we do have in front of us with this person that we connect with. It can set the stage for a very negative mindset or unhealthy mindset in the ways that it will impact the relationship. So I do want you to view yourself as a prize and hold yourself in that high regard and know your value, know your worth. But I don't want you to view it in a way that, again, that belittles the man. The same way I would tell men, and I tell men the same thing, like, yo, you can't think you're the prize and dismiss and devalue her. That's not gonna work for a true, loving, and successful relationship. But with that said, that entitlement mindset creeps into a lot of people. And what that entitlement mindset can also create as an offshoot of that is the whole mentality of, well, he's supposed to do that. So now when this man takes you to a nice place, he's supposed to do that. When he opens your door, he's supposed to do that. And the he's supposed to do that mentality causes you to not show appreciation for what he's actually doing. And so again, this goes both ways, but I'm speaking to you as women right now. What you have to realize is that when someone does something for you, they are making a choice to do that. No one has to do anything. All right. They are choosing to do it. And when we view it as a choice they're making, we're able to appreciate it more. We understand that for them to be consistent in these efforts, they are choosing to show up the right way over and over and over again. And that should be celebrated and appreciated. Again, it goes both ways. I'm making sure I keep repeating that just for anyone who, oh, well, the men got to do it too. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But again, let's focus on you. And that's the last time I'm going to say that. So you got to remember to show that appreciation. So being entitled in that way can cause a lot of problems. I think another example of how entitlement may creep in is that sometimes, let's say as a woman, you're used to a certain kind of treatment, okay? And I'm not talking about being respectful treatment. Let's go with a certain kind of lifestyle, that man providing in certain ways, doing certain things. Let's say the last few guys you dated, would randomly give you gifts, all the type of thing. And that's what you're accustomed to. Nothing wrong with that. But then it's very easy to become very entitled to where now the minute you see that a new man does not do these things, you get turned off, or you become negative, or this nasty attitude comes out of you because it's like, how dare he not give me what all these men have given me? Which, hear me out, there's nothing wrong with you bringing this to his attention. There's nothing wrong with, if that's what you require and you find as important to have in a relationship, whatever those things are, that you let that man know. I just don't want you to become entitled to the point where just because he didn't do it, you immediately take it in a negative way. Instead, discuss it, because that specific man may just not understand this is what you're looking for. All right. And so if you don't understand that in dating, there is a learning process, and to learn each other, we have to communicate with each other. And we have to have a little bit of grace. Of course, there's certain things that I think we can discuss and argue that, there's nothing to give grace about when these specific things happen. And we can make a whole list. Maybe I'll make a whole video about that. But I do think a lot of things that I've seen happening in the course of dating, there could be grace in the sense of, okay, the first time, I view it as the first time someone does or doesn't do something, maybe they didn't know. Now I'm going to let you know. If you repeat the behavior, now, okay, we're done. Like, there's nothing else to discuss because I already corrected, I already told you, you are aware now. Now you're choosing not to do it, okay? But the first time, maybe they just weren't aware. And so, again, I've seen situations where the man did not do certain things, take certain actions, and that entitled mindset came out of that woman, and it sabotaged what could have been a potentially good relationship. So just be mindful of that, be aware of that. And so just to touch on the spoiled brat, listen, the majority of men do not want to deal with a spoiled brat, okay? And so I know some of you are very princessy, if that's a correct word to use. And again, I don't want you to not view yourself as that princess, as that queen. I don't want to take away from that in that sense. I just want you to be aware of how that comes across at times, and make sure you're keeping it in check in the sense of, yes, you can hold men to a certain standard. You should, right? But you don't need to turn negative or nasty when that standard isn't met. You communicate, and if it's not corrected, you just move on. All right, so speaking of nasty, And don't think that kind of nasty. I'm talking about nasty. I'll just, whatever. Let's move on. So number 3 is not speaking to him or speaking to him in a rude or negative manner, harsh manner. Okay. So here's the thing. This is what I feel the need to say it like this. When a man is genuinely interested in you, he is much more sensitive to you, your words, your actions, to everything, okay? And so you have to be mindful of how you're communicating. And more specifically, not just the words you're using, but the energy, the spirit you give off when you speak. Now, this to me is a huge thing, or a very common thing women overlook, because a lot of women will say to me, I don't think that was harsh. I don't think that was mean. I don't think that was negative. But it was like, nah, yeah, it really was. Like when you told me the story, I clearly see why he took it that way. I think it's important that we have to learn not to look at our words and our tone and our energy through our own eyes. We need to consider how others are receiving it, all right? And that's how you're gonna have a better picture on how you're actually coming across. So it's important, I think, for anyone, and especially for women, to talk to other people and say, how do I come across? Do you feel like I come across harsh? Now, quick tip. Don't go ask another negative person, right? Don't go ask another nasty attitude, harsh, don't care about people's feelings when they speak type of person. Because they're going to tell you, yo, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with how you speak, because they speak the same way, all right? You need to, if you can, speak to someone that you consider a positive speaker. You consider someone who's very mindful of how they, deliver their message. And then ask them, how do you think I come across? And if that means giving them examples, and try to be genuine in those examples. Now, again, everyone won't be able to have that outlet to use, but it's just, if you can, do that. Because again, you need to get outside opinion on how you're coming across. Also, when you are on a date, if a man says to you, or he calls it out, like, damn, why are you so harsh, or why are you so negative? I know this might be tough for some people, but rather than initially just get defensive, right? Because what happens a lot of times is the man says it, the woman gets defensive, and now it becomes a battle. And now it goes from negative to much worse. All right. And in that woman's head, it's like, well, I wasn't talking harsh before, but now I am. Now you're going to get it, right? What would be better? And again, this is why I always say you got to look at dating as an opportunity to learn and grow. All right. So even when we go on dates that may not work out, and with people that it's just not going to go any further with, there could be an opportunity to still learn and hone our skills and get better as an individual on how we present ourselves. It would be the same thing as if you were applying for a job and you went on a bunch of different interviews. Even if you some people are so focused on getting the job that they're missing the opportunity to learn within the interview. Okay. So a lot of people are so focused on trying to get to that relationship and finding something to be successful that they miss learning within the process. So you want to be aware while in the process so that you can learn. And with that said, when that man or, that person calls you out on something, and of course, hopefully they're not calling you out in this very negative, attacking way, but either way, when they call you out on it, rather than just react and get defensive, your response should be, what made you feel like that was harsh? All right. Try to understand where they're coming from. Now, some situations are gonna just be, it's just really that person and they got a personal issue. But if you start hearing it more than once, if it's a reoccurring theme, then you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, maybe I am a little harder than I thought I was. All right. Let me try to practice softening it up. And practice doesn't have to just be with men. Practice is with everybody, family, friends, whoever, co-workers, that's where you can get your practice in to get comfortable being mindful of the tone and the delivery of your words. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. So have you ever seen a situation where a man is with a woman who talks to him all kinds of crazy ways, who doesn't show him a lot of respect, who is downright rude, nasty,